Welcome to the lecture on break even analysis. So, when we manufacture any product for the organization, it generates the revenue by selling the product. Now, initially the organization has incurred a large number of costs. We have already discussed about different costs, and based on that basically we will talk about fixed and variable type of cost, which are required to see that what is the total cost incurred for production of the product. Now, once the product is ready for selling, after sale it gets the income. So, as the number of units sold increases, the income increases. Now, at what point you feel that you are at a point where there is no profit, no loss for the company, and that point, that number of products at that point is known as break even point. So, the purpose of break even analysis is to find the minimum output which must be exceeded for the business to make profit. So, if the organization is not making the product more than this break even point, then the organization will have loss, and if it is going beyond that, accordingly it will have the profit. So, we can do the analysis of having the break even point, how to calculate it. Let us see, we have already discussed about the two types of cost, fixed cost and variable cost. The fixed cost is the one which does not depend upon the number of units produced, and the variable cost will be changing with the number of units produced. So, if this is number of units produced and if this is the cost or income, in that case there is a fixed cost line and also there is variable cost per unit line. Now, we have an income line which goes like this. Now, in this, suppose the organization has a capacity, that is C. So, C is the production capacity. Now, organization thinks of making n units in the year. So, basically now this is the unit number n. Now, at this point this is the income line. So, if we give the names to these lines, this is point A, this is B, C and D. So, fixed cost is represented by line OA and AB. So, this shows the fixed cost. Now, the slope of line AC is variable cost per unit. So, variable cost per unit that is B is nothing but slope of line AC. So, now this is fixed cost is we are representing as F. Now, we have OD as the income line. So, if we have the selling cost selling cost per unit, we can have it as S. So, selling cost per unit will be nothing but the slope of this line OD. Yeah. Now, once we generate the income based on the number of units sold, so basically the line OD represents income, that is I. So, income will be nothing but S into number of units produced. So, if N is number of units produced during the year, now income will be nothing but the selling cost of per unit multiplied by the number of units produced. So, it will be S times N. Now, total cost will be fixed cost plus variable cost. So, fixed cost is for the whole year. So, fixed cost is given as F. Variable cost will be the variable cost per unit multiplied by number of units produced. So, profit will be income minus total cost. Now, at break even point, income is equal to total cost. So, we have to equate these two lines. So, what we get, F plus V n will be equal to S n. So, n will be equal to F by S minus V. Now, this n is, we treat it as n star, that is break even quantity. So, what we see is that at this n star, so this will be your n star. So, in this is the fixed cost and this is basically known as S minus V is known as marginal contribution. So, basically S is nothing but what the revenue you generate by selling the product and this is the variable part. So, basically it is to cover up the fixed cost part. So, it is known as marginal contribution. So, once you know the fixed cost the selling price per unit and the variable cost per unit, you can have the value of n star as break even point. So, if you find the function for the profit, profit will be equal to income minus total cost, and income is Sn minus total cost is F plus Vn. So, it is nothing but minus F plus S minus V into N. So, basically this is a function which represents the value of profit in terms of the number of units which is produced, and this is a line of, this is the equation of a straight line. So, let us see how the profit changes. Now, what we see is we have got profit as line as minus F plus S minus V into N. S is constant, V is constant. So, this is a constant quantity. So, this is the equation of a straight line, and if we draw this line, if this is profit and this is loss. Now, what we see is this line can be represented by this, and at this point, this is the point where profit is 0, and that is why this point corresponds to n star. Now what we can see is the effect of changes in fixed cost and the variable cost on this point, that is break even point. Now, let us see how it may change. Effect of fixed cost. Now, let us see this graph. This is the fixed cost portion. If the fixed cost is decreasing and it comes here and variable cost remains the same, this graph will have this value. So, if F is decreased and V remains constant, so basically if V remains constant, in that case S minus V remains constant, that is slope of line AB remains constant and the line becomes CD. So, basically once you have decreased the fixed cost part, this line has gone to this place and this n star is reached at the smaller value. This results into a smaller value of n star, that is break even point is reached early with lesser number of products sold. So, what we see is that once we decrease the V, in that case decrease the value of fixed cost, that is F, in that case n star is coming early. Contrarily, if we increase the fixed cost and V remains constant, contrarily if F is increased, in that case your n star shifts to the right, n star shifts to the right, that is break even quantity is increased. So, this is very obvious that if the fixed cost of the asset will decrease, you will have a no profit no loss point early, because total cost is decreased. So, that is how we see that if there is change in the fixed cost, how it will change the position of the break even point. Now, let us see how it will affect the break even point if the variable cost is changed. So, if we change the variable cost, if variable cost per unit is changed, keeping fixed cost constant, now we will draw the same profit volume function. We had this function. Now, what we see, if the variable cost is increased, so if the variable cost will be increased, this S minus V is slope of the line. Now, if we increase the variable cost, the slope of the line will decrease. So, keeping the fixed cost same, if the slope of the line is decreasing, the line will take this form. Now, in this we can have n this side. What we see is the earlier we had n star here, when the variable cost is increased, the n star has come towards the right. Further, at the same time, if the variable cost is decreased, S minus V will increase, which will shift this line towards the left. So, your x axis is cut at this point and your break even point is shifted towards left. So, we can write these things. So, if variable cost is increased and fixed cost remains constant, S minus V, that is marginal contribution, decreases. And so, slope of the line AB decreases and takes the line AC. So, the slope of AB now it is AC. In this way, it is seen that break even point is shifted towards right. That is, more number of units are to be produced and sold. For coming to position with no profit or loss. So, contrary to that, when V is decreased, keeping F constant, slope of the line AB increases, slope is S minus V. Hence, the new line is AD and the break even point shifts towards the left. It means that no profit, no loss situation will be achieved with lesser number of units produced and sold. So, what we see that how this fixed cost or variable cost is changing the break even point either towards the left or towards the right. So, if we know the fixed cost the variable cost and the number of units to be produced, we can use the formula which we have calculated for computing the break even point, and also if the change in the fixed cost or variable cost per unit is mentioned, it can also be used to calculate the shift in the break even point either towards the left or towards the right. We can also draw the fixed cost per unit line and variable cost. So, as we have seen, the fixed cost per unit line will be a variable quantity which will basically decrease as the number increases, and the variable cost per unit will be a constant number. So, that can also be a way to basically judge this graph using, and for this the total cost line can be drawn and we can also find the break even points. We can discuss a problem based on this break even analysis. So, let us see, we have a problem given as this, that if the fixed cost per year is given as rupees 10 lakh, selling price per unit that is S is given as rupees 50 and variable cost per unit is given as rupees 10. In that case, what you need to know is what will be the break even point at which the company will have no profit no loss situation. So, we can use the formula break even point, at that break even quantity will be F by S minus V. So, it will be 10 lakh divided by S minus V is 40. So, we can have this value 25,000. So, when the company produces 25,000 equipments and sell it, it will come to a situation of break even, that is no profit no loss. Now, let us say the company has produced 30,000 units. In that case, what will be the profit of the company? So, we can recall the line of profit and profit volume function. P is given as minus F plus S minus V into N. Now, in this case N is 30,000. So, profit will be, we know the values, minus of 10 lakhs plus S minus V. So, S we have 50 minus V is 40, V is 10 into 30,000 units. So, it will be minus of 10 lakhs plus 40 into 30,000, that is minus 10 lakh plus 12 lakh, that is 2 lakh. So, it means if the company produces 30,000 units, it will earn a profit of 2 lakh. If the company on the other hand is able to produce and sell only 20,000, if company produces and sells only 20,000 units, in that case we will have P as minus 10,000, 10 lakh plus S minus V into N. So, this N will be replaced with 20,000 and S minus V is 50 minus 10, that is 40 into 20,000. So, this comes out to be minus of 2 lakhs. So, this results into a loss and this is the profit. So, this is how you can calculate the profit and loss using the profit volume function and using the expression for the break even quantity to be produced. Similarly, if you are given the change in the variable value or the fixed cost value, how it will affect the break even point, that also can be calculated and a graph can be plotted and it is seen that how this point shifts towards the left or towards the right. Thank you.